While trying to decide between the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro, I think there is only one clear winner this time. Hey guys, it's Sagar, and in this video, let's find out which of these two phones should you be spending your money on. Now I'm going to be talking about the iPhone 16 and the iPhone 16 Pro, but everything that I say in this video also applies to the iPhone 16 Plus and the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So if you're trying to decide between those two phones, you can still continue with this video. Back in 2019, when Apple actually started separating the Pro and non-Pro iPhones, there were a lot of features which were specifically for Pro iPhones, like bigger size, high-resolution OLED displays, better brightness levels, better and more cameras, premium build materials, different storage options, etc. As years went by, they kept on adding some new hardware and software features to the Pro iPhones first and eventually trickled them down to the non-Pro iPhones a year or two later. This continued for a while, so there was a clear separation between the Pro and non-Pro lineup. But this year with the iPhone 16 lineup, they did a few things differently, which has brought the regular iPhones much closer to the Pro iPhones than any of the previous years. We are going to look at all these things in this video, starting with their price, which in India is one of the things that has changed compared to the last year's iPhone 15 series. Make sure to listen to this part very carefully because I don't get to say this very often. Apple reduced the prices of the iPhone 16 Pros compared to the iPhone 15 Pro in India. How often do you see them do that? iPhone 16 Pro now starts at 1,19,900 rupees for the base 128GB storage variant and goes all the way up to 1,69,900 rupees for the 1TB storage option. This is 15,000 rupees less than what they were asking for the iPhone 15 Pro last year. So if you are looking to get the iPhone 16 Pro, you will have to spend 15,000 rupees less than what you would have to if you decided to upgrade your phone last year. iPhone 16 still starts at 79,900 rupees for the 128GB storage variant, and its prices go as high as 1,09,900 for the 512GB storage variant. So instead of the 55,000 rupees difference like last year, this time in India, there is a 40,000 or about $500 difference between each corresponding storage variants of both these phones, which is still a significant difference, but I am glad that it is coming down. Hopefully the prices of iPhone 16 Pro will be lowered even further once Apple starts ramping up the production in India. Alright, if you guys didn't know the prices of these phones earlier, then here they are. And if price is a concern and the most important deciding factor for you, and you can't spend the extra 40,000 rupees, then the choice is simple for you. Go with the regular iPhone 16. But if you have the extra budget, which I believe some of you might have since you have clicked on this video, then let's find out what does the 16 Pro offer over the regular iPhone 16 and does it justify its higher price point. After the price, let's look at the color options that both these phones come in. Here are all the colors of the iPhone 16 Pro. They look good, classy and sober. And here are the colors from the iPhone 16. These are so much more vibrant and fun to look at. Most of the colors of the iPhone 16 Pro are slightly tweaked shades of the colors which were already available for the iPhone 15 Pro. Only new color is the Desert Titanium, and even it is a bit less saturated if you look at it in real life. So if you want new and fresh colors, the regular iPhone 16 has a lot more color options. I know most people won't be thinking about this when trying to decide between these two phones, but if you are amongst the people who are thinking about it, this section was for you. Another thing that's newer or slightly tweaked on the regular iPhone 16 is its design. While the iPhone 16 Pro looks exactly the same as the iPhone 15 Pro, at least from a distance, the iPhone 16 does have a new vertical alignment for the rear cameras. This makes it stand out and instantly recognizable from any of the previous non-Pro iPhones. So if you are using the iPhone 16 Pro, you might have to tell people that this is the latest generation iPhone. But if you are using the iPhone 16, this won't be the case. Most people will instantly recognize it because of the new camera placement. For the build materials, iPhone 16 gets glass at the front and back, and the frame is made out of aluminium. iPhone 16 Pro also has glass at the front and back, but the frame on this one is made out of titanium. Aluminium is lighter than titanium, and the iPhone 16 Pro also packs in some extra tech inside, which makes it 30 grams heavier than the iPhone 16. Now 30 grams doesn't sound much, but in the world of smartphones it is pretty significant. Now because it is built of titanium and is slightly heavier, the iPhone 16 Pro feels a bit more premium in the hand. But after having used my fair share of big and heavy phones, I actually prefer the lighter iPhone 16. It is easier on your hands if you use your phone for a longer time and also on your pocket. Now, thanks to their size, both these phones actually fit really well in the hand. There is a slight curve to the frame which makes both of them feel more comfortable. Both also have a frosted back, a design feature which was only available on the Pro iPhones up until last year. They also get the exact same next generation ceramic shield protection for the front, which according to Apple is 50% tougher than before. This combined with the titanium frame makes the iPhone 16 Pro one of the toughest iPhones ever. I haven't dropped either of these phones yet and I don't intend to check how durable they are, but I have seen some videos where people have dropped it from a decent height and it does survive multiple drops without any major issues. Now these phones are big investments and I always like to protect my investment. So what I do is I use a good quality case and a screen protector with my phone from day one. This is where Casetify, our sponsor for this video, comes in. Now I'm sure you have seen their impact case before. It provides a ton of protection to your phone, comes in endless design options, and overall feels really good as it gives me a peace of mind of keeping my phone safe and secure. I've been a fan of this impact ring stand case this time around. The back of this one is clear so I can see the beautiful desert titanium color of my iPhone 16 Pro, but you can get it in any color or design of your choice. This case comes with a kickstand which is built around the camera module. This is so handy when you want to watch some content on your phone and it doesn't add any more extra weight or bulk to your phone. If you want to add a bit more drop protection, they have this bounce case which has even more protection for the corners. You can drop your phone in this case from the height of 21.3 feet and it will still survive. These corners take all of the impact and cushions the fall for your phone. These three are some of Casetify's most popular cases, but for the iPhone 16 series, they have a brand new Ultra Bounce case. This is their most protective and most versatile case. It gets much more pronounced and even more extreme corner protection, so this one can survive drops from up to 32.8 feet, which is about the height of a 3-story building. This is all thanks to the 6-layer protection of the case, and this one actually has 10 times military standard rating. I love the fact that even the camera lenses get protection with this case. Now I said that this is Casetify's most versatile case because all of these also act as mounting points for various accessories around the phone. You can attach all sorts of accessories to it, like this carabiner, so you can attach this case to either your jeans or your bag, or you can even check out this lanyard which wraps around your wrist, making sure that the phone and the case stay secure. Now what you want to mount on it or how you want to use it depends on your own style. To check out this new Ultra Bounce case or any of the Casetify's other cases and accessories, head to their website from the link in the description. It's casetify.com/techworks. With this link, you can even get 15% off your order. Now here are a few things which are similar on both these phones. Both of them get this action button on the left side above the volume buttons. It was first introduced last year on the iPhone 15 Pro and I'm glad to see it make its way to the regular iPhone 16. It is a better use of space compared to the mute switch as you can do a lot more with it and you can customize it according to your needs. But because of its placement above the volume buttons, I find myself using it less and less. I might have used it a lot more if it was placed below the volume buttons, as that is the place where my fingers would naturally reach very easily. But right now I have to do a bit of hand gymnastics to reach it on both the phones, so I don't really use it all that much. But thankfully it's an extra customizable button, and if you want to use it for something that you perform repeatedly on your phone, you have that option on both the phones. This year, Apple introduced the camera control button on the entire iPhone 16 lineup. It's a new multifunction button on the right side which can register different levels of pressure, and it even has a capacitive touch surface for added functionality. It is good to see Apple adding more and more buttons to their new phones. This button is also customizable to some extent, so you can have it open the camera app by default, or you can have it open other apps which have access to your camera. This capture control is a very interesting way to interact with the camera app. You can press it once to open the camera app, another press to take a picture, a light press and a swipe to change certain settings, and 2 light presses to change the functions. I'm sure Apple has put a lot of thought into this, but this button just doesn't offer us anything extra that we can't already do on the camera app with just a couple of taps. And the actions are also very unintuitive, which is very unlike Apple. On top of that, again because of the placement, it is a bit difficult to reach without either extending your finger a lot or without covering some part of the viewfinder, which is not ideal. It is also a bit less intuitive compared to the on-screen options, which by this point, most of us have got into a muscle memory anyways. Plus, I also found that the phone vibrates a bit if I use this button to take the image, so images could be a bit blurry or slightly out of focus in certain cases. So again, I did not end up using it on either of the phones. Nonetheless, I am really glad that Apple added this camera button to all of the iPhone 16 series phones and didn't only limit it for the Pro iPhones. The other ports and buttons also remain the same on both the phones. So on the left side, we have the action button at the top, then the volume up and down buttons, and finally a SIM tray. Now if you are in US, your phone won't have a SIM tray because in your region, Apple has moved on to eSIM only phones. But in all of the other regions, we still get a physical SIM tray on a phone, which I think is much more convenient. Interestingly, the orientation of the nano SIM card is a bit different on both these phones. On the iPhone 16 Pro, it is like we have always seen it, but on the regular iPhone 16, the SIM card now goes in like this, which makes the SIM tray a bit wider but less deep. On the right side, both of them have the power button and the camera control button slightly below it. At the bottom, they both get a speaker grill, USB Type-C port and a microphone. This USB Type-C port on the iPhone 16 only supports USB 2.0 speeds, so 480 Mbps transfer rate. While one on the iPhone 16 Pro is the faster one and supports USB 3 speeds or 10 Gbps transfer rate. So if you're someone who backs up your data to a computer or external storage regularly, it would take much longer on the iPhone 16. Now let's take a look at their displays. iPhone 16 gets a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR display, whereas the iPhone 16 Pro now gets a slightly larger 6.3-inch Super Retina XDR display. On paper, the 16 Pro's display is bigger, But if you're not looking at them side by side, I doubt most people will be able to tell that display on the 16 Pro is bigger. Now, despite of the bigger display, the physical size of the phone has not gone up in the same proportion, which means Apple has shrunk the bezels on the 16 Pro to accommodate this slightly bigger display. These are now one of the slimmest bezels on any of the smartphones out there. Here, you can see how they look compared to the bezels on the iPhone 16. Both the phones get the dynamic island at the top, and behind it, we have the front-facing camera and the Face ID tag. Since bezels are slimmer on the Pro, I was hoping they would have moved the notch a bit closer to the top bezel, as I feel it is a bit distracting while watching videos. Honestly, I did not notice this when I was using the iPhone 14 Pro or the 15 Pro. But after that, I have used the iPhone 14 for an extended time, and when using that phone, I actually noticed that the notch is a bit less distracting while watching videos. I checked and the dynamic island actually comes way more into the display compared to the notch on previous iPhones. So I would have loved for Apple to move the notch closer to the top bezel on this Pro, since they were making the bezels a bit smaller. Although the sizes are now a bit different, both the phones still get 460 ppi displays. Even the brightness levels are the exact same, so both of them can reach 1000 nits typical brightness, 1600 nits of brightness while watching HDR content, and 2000 nits of peak brightness when you are outdoors. Now the brightness on both can even go as low as 1 nits for extreme low lighting conditions. The refresh rate of these displays is not the same though. iPhone 16 Pro gets 120Hz ProMotion with adaptive refresh rate. This changes the refresh rate according to what you are doing on your phone's display. The regular 16 on the other hand still gets a 60Hz refresh rate display. Yes, 120Hz is better, it is important, and it should come as standard in all of the phones in 2024. But not having 120Hz is not end of the world for this iPhone 16 as some of the people would like you to believe. Those people are mostly unaware that 120Hz is not active for over 80% of the things that you do on your phone, and majority of the apps don't even refresh the display 120 times per second. This is something that no one talks about. 120Hz is active when you're watching something which needs the screen to refresh 120 times every second, like while playing high refresh rate games, watching 120fps videos, or while scrolling in certain apps. Other times, it doesn't make any sense to have the screens refresh 120 times every second, as that might take up too much battery. Manufacturers understand this, so most of the smartphones now have adaptive refresh rate. So if you really think about it, most of the time your smartphone is not even refreshing at 120Hz. It is at 60Hz or sometimes even less. So having 120Hz on your phone is not as important as many people would like you to believe. On top of that, majority of the people can't even differentiate between 60 and high refresh rate displays, and as much as we techies would like to think otherwise, most people using regular iPhones just don't care. And this is one of the reasons that most smartphones coming out with 120Hz refresh rate are still set at using 60Hz out of the box by default. As I said, 120Hz is a nice to have feature and not a necessary one. But if you absolutely need to have a 120Hz refresh rate display, go with the iPhone 16 Pro. One of the other things which the 16 Pro has and the regular iPhone 16 doesn't is always on display. What this does is, it lets you view the time and any notifications that you might have without waking the display. It is a nice feature to have, but I find it to be a bit distracting because with it on, I just keep on glancing at the screen of my phone. So I just keep it off on my iPhone 16 Pro. These were all of the external changes and similarities. Now let's look at what's different on the inside. iPhone 16 comes with Apple's latest A18 chip, and the iPhone 16 Pro gets the A18 Pro chip, both of which are built on TSMC's 2nd generation 3nm architecture. Both of these chips get 6-core CPU and a 16-core neural engine. The A18 Pro gets 6-core GPU, whereas the A18 gets a 5-core GPU. So the A18 Pro on the iPhone 16 Pro is slightly more powerful and it can run high refresh rate stuff more efficiently. But the overall performance of these phones is not too far apart. Yes, there are some GPU intensive tasks which will run much faster on the iPhone 16 Pro, but those are some very niche and specific tasks. Other than that, both these phones are pretty similar in terms of performance. So this year, even the performance difference is getting smaller between these two phones. Pro might feel a bit snappier thanks to the ProMotion, but the difference is really not that huge. iPhone 16 actually got a bigger jump in the performance over the iPhone 15 since it's a 2-generation processor jump. It went from a 16 Bionic chip on the iPhone 15, which was a 4nm chip, to a 3nm one, which is not only more powerful but also more power efficient. While the 16 Pro's performance jump over the iPhone 15 Pro is not that huge because the 15 Pro already had a 3nm chip. There is also 8GB RAM on both. So again a jump for the iPhone 16 from 6GB RAM of the iPhone 15 to this. And no increase in RAM for the iPhone 16 Pro, as the 15 Pro already came with 8GB of RAM. All that being said, in this day and age, performance is the last thing that you will have to worry about on this or any of the other phones for that matter. The processors inside are so powerful that right now there are not many games which can take full advantage of them. And these phones will easily hold on to their performance for 3 or 4 years without any issues. So no matter which of these phones you choose, they can run anything that you can throw at them smoothly and efficiently. The batteries inside both these phones get a boost in terms of capacity. On the iPhone 16, you now get a 3561 mAh battery, which is about 6% larger than the iPhone 15, and the iPhone 16 Pro gets a 3582 mAh battery, which is little over 9% larger than the one on the iPhone 15 Pro. The increased battery capacity, along with very efficient internals, results in a longer battery life per charge on both the phones. Apple says we should expect to get 2 extra hours of usage out of the regular iPhone 16 and up to 4 extra hours of usage out of the iPhone 16 Pro compared to their respective predecessors. While I have not done a proper battery drain test on either of these phones, I have been using them as regular phones with somewhat heavy focus on their cameras, and in these initial days, I find them to last me an entire day and have a very decent amount of battery available when I went to sleep. The 16 Pro does last longer on a single charge, but will it last 5 hours more than the iPhone 16 as Apple claims? I'm not too sure. If you guys want me to do a full-on battery drain comparison video between these two phones, let me know by hitting the like button. For charging, both of them now support faster wired and wireless charging speeds. Previous iPhones could be charged at a maximum speed of 27 watts, and I believe this time it can be juiced at somewhere between 33 to 35 watts. I was really hoping for a proper 45 watt fast charging support so we could charge both these phones in under 1 hour, but that is not the case. For wireless charging, Apple says they now support 25 watt charging if you use the newer MagSafe charger and compatible charging brick, which is well above the 15 watt wireless charging speed of previous iPhones. Both of them also support Qi2 wireless charging. So this time, both the phones are charging a bit faster and lasting a bit longer on a single charge. If you want a phone which lasts the longest among these two, go for the iPhone 16 Pro. If you want even more backup, like a day's worth of more battery backup, go with the iPhone 16 Plus or the iPhone 16 Pro Max, as they have massive batteries inside. Software wise, both are running iOS 18 and would be getting the same amount of updates for at least 5 or 6 years. Both of them also have the exactly same software features right now. There are maybe 2% software features which are different on both, and all of them are within the camera app thanks to the extra telephoto lens on the iPhone 16 Pro. Both will be getting the same Apple Intelligence features whenever it arrives. So in terms of software, there isn't a lot separating these two. Now we come to the cameras, which is one of the major differentiating factors between these two phones, and for many people, especially pros, the single most important deciding factor. iPhone 16 gets 2 cameras, whereas the iPhone 16 Pro gets 3 cameras and a LiDAR sensor, making it more versatile. Both of them get 48 megapixel main sensor, but one on the iPhone 16 is the same as that we got on the iPhone 15, while one on the iPhone 16 Pro is a completely new sensor, and it now has 2 times faster sensor readout speed, which enables things like much faster 48 megapixel shooting and 120 fps 4K video recording. So the main image sensor on both the phones might look the same on paper, but one on the iPhone 16 Pro is much larger physically over the one on the iPhone 16. This results in better low light performance. Both of them get anti-reflective lens coating on the main cameras, which I believe was present on last year's iPhone 15 Pro as well. But as you can see here, it is not helping a lot to reduce these green or teal orbs in the low light shots from both these phones. For the second camera, iPhone 16 gets a 12 megapixel sensor with ultra-wide angle lens in front of it, and thanks to the addition of autofocus, this lens now lets you shoot macro shots as well. This is first for a non-Pro iPhone, and another feature which is trickled down to the regular iPhones from the Pro iPhones, reducing the gap between the two further. But the iPhone 16 Pro is not staying behind, and its ultra-wide angle camera gets the biggest upgrade since it was first introduced on the iPhone 11 Pro. This is now a 48 megapixel sensor, which means your ultra-wide shots and macros will have incredible amount of details, and they will be looking a lot better than the ultra-wide angle shots from any of the previous iPhones. With the main camera on the iPhone 16, you can take 2x, 3x or even 5x digitally zoomed in shots, and they actually look pretty good considering it is just digital zoom. But these definitely don't stand a chance against the 5x optically zoomed in shots on the telephoto camera of the iPhone 16 Pro. I do miss the 3x lens from the iPhone 15 Pro, as I feel it was much better for taking zoomed in portraits, but this 5x lens offers a bit more in terms of reach, which I believe is what most people were asking for. For a lot more image and video samples from both these phones, make sure to watch my camera comparison video between them, which is coming out on the channel very soon. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and have all of the notifications turned on if you don't want to miss when that video drops. iPhone 16 Pro also gets a LiDAR sensor, which helps it detect the edges better for portrait shots, and it also helps in the apps like Measure for taking accurate measurements. Both of them get the new photographic styles, which are great addition, and they help fine-tune the colors and shades in your shots even further. And both of them also have the exact same selfie cameras, and the results are also pretty identical. All that being said, this iPhone 16 Pro has got some features which puts it way ahead in the race when it comes to cameras. It gets Pro RAW format, which captures a ton of details in the shot, and it will let you manipulate the image later on to a greater extent while editing. Similarly, it lets you shoot ProRes videos, which again has a lot more information compared to the normal videos. And the best thing is, these ProRes videos don't have that sharpened smartphone look, which makes them perfect for most of the professional users. There is also log video shooting option, which will take things even further, and it lets creative people apply color correction in post. You can now even take 4K 120fps videos and they just look amazing. These videos are huge in terms of file sizes, so if you go with a lower storage variant like I did, you will have to record them on an external storage drive via USB Type-C port. There are many DSLR and mirrorless cameras which can't do most of the stuff that this iPhone 16 Pro can. So with all these advanced camera options, since last couple of years, Apple has been targeting these Pro iPhones towards professional photographers and videographers. I doubt most of the average users will ever use these Pro-centric features. Sure, you might try them once or twice when you get the phone, but you will even forget about them in some time since these things are not regular part of your workflow. Which I believe should make you ask yourself, if you are really not going to use these Pro features on your phone, should you really be having those features on your phone in the first place? Don't get me wrong. There are people who need these Pro phones as they use the Pro features a lot and their livelihood might also depend on it. But for a vast majority of users, I feel the regular iPhone 16 is the way to go this time. This year, there are more similarities between these phones than ever before. To recap, here are the similarities on both of them. Action button, new capture button, placement of other ports and buttons, ceramic shield protection for the display, frosted matte glass back, IP68 water and dust protection rating, nearly similar size, same brightness levels for the display, dynamic island, same generation of processor, 8GB of RAM, Face ID, same 5G modem, Wi-Fi 7, same wired and wireless charging speeds, same software, both will also be getting the same Apple Intelligence features in the future, 48 megapixel camera and anti-reflective coating on it, macro mode on the ultra-wide angle lens, new photographic styles, same front-facing camera, crash detection, Bluetooth 5.3, second generation ultra-wideband chip and a lot more. Now the only worthwhile things that a normal user might miss out on by going for the iPhone 16 instead of the 16 Pro are premium build materials. Now this is not going to make a huge difference if you use your phone with a case. 120Hz refresh rate display. I don't think this matters as much, but some people do. The 5x telephoto lens and the slightly longer lasting battery. And if you are a professional photographer or a videographer and if you plan on using these phones for creating your content, then you might miss out on the professional shooting options which I mentioned before. Now you have to decide if these things are worth the extra 40,000 rupees to you or not. I personally believe that if you don't plan on using your smartphone for taking professional videos and photos, then the remaining features on the Pro iPhones are not worth the extra amount. These are obviously nice to have features, and if you have the money to splurge on a new phone, then by all means go for the iPhone 16 Pro. Or even better yet, go with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. But if you even have the slightest hesitation of spending this much on a smartphone, trust me, you will be just as happy with the iPhone 16 this time. I think it is the most pro, non-pro iPhone that Apple has released till now, and if I didn't have to make these videos for you guys, it is the one that I would be getting for myself. So after all of this, what do you think about both these phones? And if you are trying to decide between these two phones, which one would you go with? I would love to hear your choice and possibly the reason behind it, so please let me know in the comments. That is it for this video guys. Again, a big thanks to Casetify for sponsoring this video, and you guys can check their cases from the links in the description section. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel for a lot more coverage on both these phones. You can also check out some of the other videos from this channel. This has been Sagar and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.